Good evening and welcome to my channel. Iran is striking back right now with ballistic missiles raining down on 5 American military bases across the Middle East. U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain under direct attack. Al-UDEID Air Base Qatar, where 10,000 U.S. troops are stationed, taking multiple hits. Al-SALEM Air Base Kuwait targeted. Bases in Saudi Arabia and UAE struck. Creating most comprehensive Iranian retaliation in history that is literally happening as we speak. 5 bases. Not symbolic strikes. Coordinated precision assault on American military infrastructure, proving Iran's missile capabilities are far more advanced and numerous than Pentagon ever admitted. And critically, explosions are being reported in UAE, where 1 civilian has already been confirmed killed by falling debris from air defense intercepts. Saudi territory is under attack. And Qatar, home to largest U.S. base in entire region, is battling incoming Iranian missiles right now. But most dangerous development, Iranian missiles are targeting U.S. carrier battle groups operating in Persian Gulf, with U.S. Navy confirming threats being intercepted, but refusing to state whether aircraft carriers themselves have been hit. This is Iran demonstrating they can strike American military power projection across entire region, simultaneously creating crisis, where United States must defend multiple locations at once, while Israel faces its own missile barrage and Supreme Leader Khamenei's fate remains completely unknown. After 30 bombs dropped on his compound potentially killed him, triggering leadership chaos that could make Iranian retaliation even more unpredictable and devastating. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which 5 U.S. bases Iran is striking and why these locations represent core of American military presence in Gulf, what explosions across UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar mean for regional security, how missiles targeting U.S. carriers could sink American naval dominance if successful, and why Khamenei's unclear fate, with Israeli reports claiming he's likely dead but Iran insisting he's alive, creates most dangerous uncertainty about who's actually controlling Iranian retaliation right now. Let me show you how American and Israeli strikes designed to topple Iranian regime have triggered Iranian counterattack that threatens to kill American service members, sink U.S. warships, and drag entire region into total war. This morning, 9:30 a.m. Tehran time, 6:00 a.m. London time, Iranian media reported explosions in capital Tehran. Pictures verified by BBC showed smoke rising over cities Jamhuri Square and Hassanabad Square. But these weren't random strikes. Explosions occurred within 1 kilometer, less than half a mile, of Leadership House, the fortified compound where Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei holds ultimate power over Islamic Republic. 1 kilometer from Khamenei's compound. That's targeted assassination attempt using precision-guided weapons designed to decapitate Iranian regime by killing its supreme authority. Satellite imagery analyzed by international media showed significant damage inside Leadership House compound, including blackened buildings, debris scattered across grounds, and column of smoke rising from structures that house regime's most senior leadership. 30 bombs were reportedly dropped on Khamenei's compound, according to Israeli military sources briefing journalists. 30 precision-guided bombs hitting single-target complex represents overwhelming firepower designed to penetrate underground bunkers, collapse reinforced structures, and ensure that anyone inside compound dies regardless of protective measures. But here's where situation becomes catastrophically uncertain. It remains completely unclear whether Khamenei was actually inside compound when bombs fell. Israeli television reports are claiming that Supreme Leader was likely killed based on intelligence assessments and battle damage analysis. But Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi told NBC News that Khamenei is still alive, as far as I know, phrasing that reveals even Iran's own foreign minister isn't certain about Supreme Leader's condition, as far as I know. That's not definitive confirmation. That's diplomatic hedging suggesting Iranian government itself doesn't have verified proof that Khamenei survived, or they're deliberately concealing his death to prevent immediate regime collapse and internal power struggle. If Khamenei is dead, Iran faces succession crisis with no clear predetermined leader ready to assume power. Multiple factions within Revolutionary Guard, clerical establishment, and political leadership would compete for control during national emergency, creating internal chaos that could either paralyze Iranian response or trigger even more aggressive retaliation as hardliners seek to demonstrate strength. If Khamenei is alive but seriously wounded or trapped in damaged compound unable to communicate, similar power vacuum emerges where different officials might issue conflicting orders about retaliation, creating coordination failures or escalation beyond what supreme leader would authorize. Explosions weren't limited to Tehran. Iranian media reported strikes in multiple cities across country, including Karaj, just west of capital, Isfahan and Qom in central regions where major nuclear facilities are located, and Kermanshah in west near Iraqi border. Videos circulating social media verified by BBC showed people running in panic near explosion sites, with sounds of screams and crying audible in background. State media reported that at least 85 people were killed in Israeli strike on primary school in southern city of Minab. 85 civilians, including children, killed in single strike. BBC noted this report has not been independently verified, but if accurate represents catastrophic civilian casualties that will fuel Iranian rage and determination for revenge. President Masoud Pezeshkian's office in Tehran was reportedly targeted, but Iranian state TV confirmed president is safe, though location remains undisclosed for security. Israeli military official later briefed journalists that Israeli and U.S. forces carried out initial broad wave of strikes against hundreds of targets across Iran. Hundreds of targets, not dozen, not 50. Hundreds of simultaneous strikes representing largest coordinated military operation against Iran in history. Among targets were 3 gatherings of senior Iranian officials. Israeli sources claim several senior figures essential to management of campaign and regime's governance were eliminated, meaning targeted killings of top military commanders, political leaders, and strategic planners. 30 key Iranian leaders were reportedly targeted in initial strikes according to Israeli assessments. If successful, this represents decapitation operation designed to eliminate Iran's senior leadership in single coordinated assault, leaving regime paralyzed and unable to organize effective response. IDF confirmed striking ballistic missile launchers and strategic defense systems, including advanced SA-65 air defense system in Kermanshah area. Destroying air defenses allows follow-on strikes to penetrate Iranian airspace without facing sophisticated surface-to-air missiles that could shoot down attacking aircraft. Iran's Civil Aviation Organization announced country's airspace is closed until further notice. Complete airspace closure indicates Iranian government fears additional waves of strikes and wants all civilian aircraft grounded to prevent accidental shootdowns by air defenses or civilian casualties from ongoing military operations. Country is experiencing near-total internet blackout that monitors detected late Saturday morning. Cutting internet prevents Iranian population from organizing protests, sharing videos of strike damage, or coordinating resistance while also hindering Iranian military communications, forcing reliance on hardened military networks that may have been compromised. Trump posted video on Truth Social, confirming U.S. involvement, stating objective was to defend American people by eliminating imminent threats from Iranian regime. He declared, "We're going to destroy their missiles and raze their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize region and attack our forces, and we will ensure Iran does not obtain nuclear weapon. Annihilate their navy. Obliterate missile industry." These aren't limited strikes. This is comprehensive campaign designed to permanently eliminate Iranian military capabilities, making regime unable to threaten American interests or project power regionally. But Trump went further with explicit regime change messaging. He told Iranian civilians, "When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations." This is American president openly calling for Iranian revolution, using chaos from strikes as opportunity to overthrow Islamic Republic. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu echoed this message, calling on Iranian people to rid themselves of yoke of tyranny and bring about free and peace-seeking Iran. Both leaders are gambling that Iranian population will rise up against clerical regime during crisis. But this assumption ignores that foreign military attack often strengthens nationalist sentiment, rallying population around government against external aggression. And now Iran's retaliation is proving that regime retains substantial military capabilities despite American and Israeli strikes. Israel's military identified missiles launched toward Israel by Iran, with explosions heard in city of Haifa and elsewhere, though currently unclear whether these were impacts or successful interceptions. But regional strikes are most significant. Bahrain's state news agency reported that service center of U.S. Navy Fifth Fleet in Bahrain was subjected to missile attack. Fifth Fleet headquarters coordinates all American naval operations in Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea, Red Sea, and Western Indian Ocean. Striking this facility attacks nerve center of U.S. naval power in most strategically critical maritime region globally. Qatar's defense ministry reported successfully countering number of attacks targeting country's territory after explosions heard in capital Doha. Qatar hosts Al-UDEID Air Base, largest U.S. military facility in entire Middle East region, with over 10,000 American personnel. Iranian missiles targeting Al-UDEID represents direct assault on primary logistics hub, supporting all U.S. air operations across region. Jordan confirmed intercepting 2 missiles targeting its territory and successfully destroying them. Kuwait's air defense intercepted multiple ballistic missiles, with Defense Ministry spokesman stating Al-SALEM Air Base, where U.S. Air Force maintains significant presence, was specifically targeted by Iranian strikes. United Arab Emirates condemned Iran's attack on its territory, reporting 1 person killed after falling debris from air defense intercepts struck ground. UAE added that several missiles were successfully intercepted, but fact that Iranian weapons reached UAE airspace proves missiles traveled hundreds of kilometers from Iranian territory, accurately targeting Emirati locations. This represents coordinated strikes on 5 nations hosting U.S. military facilities: Bahrain Fifth Fleet, Qatar Al-UDEID, Kuwait Al-SALEM, Saudi Arabia, multiple bases, and UAE Al-Dhafra, among others. Iran demonstrating capability to strike American military infrastructure across entire Gulf region, simultaneously creating multi-front defense crisis that strains U.S. air defense systems and personnel. Most critically for American naval power, there are reports that Iranian missiles are targeting U.S. carrier battle groups operating in Persian Gulf. U.S. Navy has confirmed identifying threats and working to intercept and strike where necessary, but has conspicuously refused to confirm or deny whether any missiles have hit American warships, including aircraft carriers. This silence is ominous. If Iranian missiles missed carriers completely, Navy would likely announce successful defense to demonstrate capability and reassure allies. Refusing to provide details suggests either that carriers were hit causing damage that Navy wants to conceal, or that missiles came dangerously close, creating genuine threat that Navy doesn't want publicized. Aircraft carriers are centerpiece of American military power projection globally. Single carrier battle group costs billions of dollars and hosts approximately 5,000 personnel, plus 75 combat aircraft. Losing carrier to Iranian missile strike would be greatest American naval disaster since World War II, creating political earthquake forcing reconsideration of entire U.S. Middle East strategy. Iranian anti-ship missiles include Chinese-supplied supersonic weapons, designed specifically to penetrate carrier defenses through speed and sea-skimming flight profiles that make interception extremely difficult. If Iran possesses sufficient numbers of these weapons and fires them in coordinated salvos, carrier defenses could be overwhelmed, allowing penetration that sinks or mission kills American supercarrier. Israeli authorities issued guidance warning against gatherings and requiring citizens avoid going to school and work unless essential. This guidance remains in effect until 8 p.m. Monday 18 NAR GMT, indicating Israeli government expects sustained Iranian missile attacks over extended period, requiring population to shelter for approximately 48 hours. Israel's airspace is closed to civilian flights according to Israeli media. Complete airspace closure represents recognition that Iranian missile threat is severe enough that civilian aircraft cannot safely operate, creating total disruption to normal life and economic activity. Major airlines have diverted or canceled flights across Middle East, citing safety concerns. Wizz Air suspended flights until March 7th to Israel, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Amman, Jordan, and Saudi locations. British Airways canceled flights to Tel Aviv and Bahrain until Wednesday. Emirates suspended operations to and from Dubai. Lufthansa, Air India, Virgin Atlantic, and Turkish Airlines announced cancellations. Iraq and Jordan closed airspace completely. UAE partially and temporarily closed airspace as precaution. Kuwait's aviation authority halted all flights to Iran until further notice. This represents unprecedented regional aviation shutdown affecting millions of travelers and causing economic losses measured in hundreds of millions of dollars daily. UK Foreign Office updated travel guidance for Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, advising travelers to remain vigilant, follow local authority advice, and take shelter if advised. This represents British government assessment that conflict could expand beyond Iran and Israel, potentially affecting entire region. Trump's explicit goal is regime change in Iran. He told Iranian military forces they could either lay down weapons and receive complete immunity or face certain death. This ultimatum, designed to encourage mass defections from Iranian armed forces, assumes that military personnel will choose American protection over loyalty to Islamic Republic. But history suggests this assumption is flawed. Iraqi military didn't mass defect during 2003 invasion, despite similar American promises. Iranian Revolutionary Guard especially is ideologically committed to regime and unlikely to surrender based on Trump's words, regardless of military pressure. Israeli military sources claim initial strikes targeted 30 key Iranian leaders, attempting to decapitate regime's senior leadership in coordinated assassination operation. If successful, this removes experienced commanders and decision-makers who planned Iran's defense strategies and retaliation options. But it also creates power vacuum, where less experienced or more radical figures might assume control, potentially escalating conflict beyond what eliminated moderates would have authorized. The fact that Iran's foreign minister himself can only say Khamenei is alive, as far as I know, reveals that Iranian government is either concealing supreme leader's death or genuinely doesn't know his condition. Both scenarios create crisis because subordinate officials must make decisions about war and peace without clear guidance from ultimate authority, who normally approves all major strategic choices. If Khamenei is dead, and regime is hiding this fact, eventually truth will emerge, creating legitimacy crisis, where whoever claims leadership faces questions about authority during period when they concealed supreme leader's death from Iranian people. If Khamenei is alive but incapacitated, similar questions arise about who has authority to make decisions during supreme leader's absence. Iranian retaliation striking 5 U.S. bases simultaneously, plus targeting American carrier battle groups, represents capability that Pentagon assessments likely underestimated. Intelligence suggested Iran possessed missiles, but apparently didn't anticipate coordinated multi-target strikes, overwhelming regional defenses, or didn't believe Iran would actually dare attack American military installations, directly risking total war. Now that Iran has demonstrated both capability and willingness to strike American bases, U.S. forces throughout region face ongoing threat requiring heightened defensive postures, evacuation of non-essential personnel, and potentially repositioning of vulnerable assets away from Iranian missile range. This defensive reorientation reduces American offensive capabilities and creates perception of Iranian success, even if strikes caused limited physical damage. One confirmed civilian death in UAE from falling air defense debris highlights that missile warfare affects not just military targets, but entire populations of nations involved or hosting foreign military bases. UAE population will question whether hosting American bases brings security or makes them targets for Iranian retaliation. Similar calculations will occur in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, where governments must balance benefits of American military partnership against risks of becoming targets in U.S.-Iran conflict. If host nations decide risks exceed benefits, they could request American forces leave, creating strategic defeat, where U.S. loses regional military access, regardless of strike success. Trump and Netanyahu gambling that Iranian population will overthrow regime during chaos from strikes. But Iranian government maintains extensive internal security apparatus, including Revolutionary Guard, Basij militia, and intelligence services that ruthlessly suppress dissent. Unless these security forces defect en masse, which seems unlikely, regime can probably contain protests even during military crisis. More likely scenario is that foreign military attack strengthens nationalist sentiment, causing Iranians to rally around government against external aggression, even if they oppose regime domestically.
This pattern occurred during Iran-Iraq War, when population supported government during external threat despite previous revolutionary tensions. Subscribe now because next 72 hours will determine whether American-Israeli strikes achieve stated objective of regime change or whether Iranian retaliation creates American casualties and regional chaos that forces Trump to choose between catastrophic escalation or accepting incomplete victory that leaves hostile Iranian regime in power. Before you go, predict what happens to Khamenei. Comment A, B, or C. A. Khamenei is dead. Israeli strikes killed him. Iran concealing death to prevent regime collapse. Succession crisis coming. B. Khamenei alive but wounded. Can't appear publicly. Power vacuum creates competing authorities during crisis. C. Khamenei alive and will appear soon. Iranian FM's uncertainty was deliberate ambiguity creating psychological warfare. Drop your answer now. Iran striking 5 U.S. bases across Gulf.
Explosions in UAE, Saudi, Qatar killing civilians. Missiles targeting American carriers. Khamenei's fate unknown, creating leadership crisis. Regional airspace closed. Airlines grounded. This is total war where both sides committed to outcomes requiring opponents' complete defeat. One will prevail. Other will be destroyed. We're watching which side that is.